Hey guys, welcome to Easy Games for Mahal, also known as Easy for short. Back now with Airfield's common areas and strategies. So we're going to be using the same protocols as the last video. If you didn't know, um, white is basically common areas, yellow is your danger zones, sort of thing. And then after covering these common areas, I'll be going over pretty much like the strats that you'll see most clans use. So, to start off, left and right, top to bottom, sort of thing, right? You got your giant perches, like both sides have like giant perches, I would say, to call them. This is the biggest one on the map because of how much area that a TD can sit in. It can sit in so many places on here. There's lots of bushes. There's buildings it can use. There's this rock, for obvious reasons. But you use this to generally like look at pretty much this whole area and just like use it to cover your main force as a main rule. Like one or two guys up here somewhere is generally a good idea to have. So moving on from there, you got your obvious red base ridge. You can also put a couple guys here somewhere. Kind of obvious to like go off of, but not much to say after that. So you also have what most people back in the days used to call this the grinder. Like anybody who's like watched old WGLNA, old Clan Wars sort of thing, this is what is referred to as. You can also call it the middle, but like there's another area for that with that name. I'll go over that in a sec. But generally the grinder was usually called for like brawling sort of thing. As like like when a fight breaks out here, it could be pretty crazy sort of thing. You also have your sub areas like the perches on either side for in terms of like the grinder area, but these are generally like used to have like say like some Russian meds or some like really fast heavy that can get up here and just like be able to cover this and vice versa for this. Okay, so and we go from there. So generally I like to call this the mid-range, the middle sort of thing. Generally this is where like you like to like poke with light tanks, mediums, or heavies, doesn't really matter. But generally light tanks and mediums to be able to like poke for arty sort of thing. This is kind of like the high point on the map, with the exceptions of these two for the most part. This is generally used for like arty control sort of thing. And then you have, like I mentioned before, you got like your perches on the green side. This is extremely really powerful. You will see a lot of clans use this due to the fact that it's good amount of bushes in this area, so it's kind of tough to decipher because it's kind of like a small area, but there's a lot of bushes. It's kind of hard to decipher if these guys are getting shot at, for example, where exactly he's at, sort of thing. And also, well, like I'll cover this in a sec. Pushing like the sea line sort of thing. Your obvious like kind of like north green side ridge. There's not really a name for this per se, but like this is kind of like an area you need to know that you will see a lot of tanks in. Just like holding out in these areas. I'll show it in a sec. And then you also have your green base obvious ridge, opposite of this, right? Sort of thing. And then you have your camping, like also another TD spot that the green side has to your advantage to be able to shoot into the middle and shoot on the lower side here as well. Alright. In terms of danger zones, right? So, like I said, danger zones require a little bit of context, right? So, 95% of the time, you generally don't want to be in these areas from the opposite side, right? So what I mean by that is, say if you're green, you never really want to be here, ever. Like there's like some extreme circumstances, but like just generally never go here. Uh, you can. These are like the areas surrounding it are also kind of danger zones. They're semi-danger zones sort of thing, but this is like the danger zone that you don't want to be in. Um, this is also semi-danger zone, but it's more used for like pushes and sort of thing. Now, vice versa for the same thing, semi-danger zone, right? Never want to be here, really, ever, from the red. Okay. So moving on to common strategies. So Airfield is one of those maps that clans love to camp on. So green side, obvious advantage of camping, right? So this is generally what you will see clans play, right? You'll like these can be interchanged for a bunch of like TDs, mediums, heavies. Doesn't really matter. The point of me showing you this is that this is how people are gonna camp. If let's say you're playing like some mediocre or really lower end clan, 95% of the time they're just gonna camp like this, like, and you should expect that, sort of thing. Um, Red side also kind of has a campy advantage, like not advantage. Say like camp, like it's also pretty campy as well, but it's not as hard, in my opinion, to break from. Like this, the green side is hard to break versus the red, sort of thing. Due to a couple of factors, mostly being this area, like whereas this is like all open sort of thing, and due to the fact that this side doesn't have this, like whereas like right, this is kind of more open, right, but this is, in my opinion, not as relevant as this. Um, Also, the other thing is that pushing on the lower side here, this can be shot up by this. Like this is all open area, more open than this is, sort of thing. And you can just come around really quickly if you got some medium sort of thing. But harder to do on this more open area. It's not an area that you don't want to avoid. I'm just making people aware that like this is very open and very vulnerable to crossfire. Two things that you should always be aware of on this map is that whenever a playstyle from either side is played like this, you should always expect to arty. The reason why it's so good is that it can really break out like camps like this, because it just bleeds them, and you can just like later push in when they've like lost so much HP and you've got that advantage sort of thing. You can also expect light tanks to play from the middle, like to be able to scout for arty is a thing, and to be able to like get like early spots on whatever in the base sort of thing. You can also expect, so either light tanks like play here, or in the second expectation you can have is that light tanks are also going to play here. Generally, you never really see two light tanks. It's extremely risky, unless you're really good light tank players and but you're depending on your arty to be able to like do damage for you. If you lose one light tank already, that's going to be like pretty big. So generally, like I said, either light tank here or light tank here to be able to like get out like that early vision sort of thing. Now the third common strategy I don't really have laid out here is that a lot of clans will, from either side, right, they'll either try to like push on the C line sort of thing, due to the fact that it can potentially catch a clan that like tries to like make a camp or play it slow somewhere, before they are able to set up properly. However, the execution of that needs to be very good, and the clan needs to not like be prepared for that, is the sort of thing. Now it's a little bit harder to do it on this, like going from red to green side, that it is going from green to red, like I mentioned earlier, due to this being a thing, or this doesn't make much of an impact on this. And also due to the fact that this general cover area has an advantage and disadvantage. It has like I said, it's cover, right? But either side can use it as cover, sort of thing, and however they play it, right? It's gonna be like either bad or good for you, sort of thing. But yeah, that's generally pretty much covers the common things for Airfield. Next video I'll be covering Cliff. Thanks for watching.